June is right around the corner. And for everybody who is not living in California, you know what that means. It's music festival season. And I say outside of California, of course, because technically we can and do have music festivals year round, thanks to the whole absence of winter thing. But I digress. Since festival season is upon us, and as High Times Keegan Williams put it, music lovers far and wide are preparing for a summer full of multi-day events featuring some of their favorite artists, DJs, along with plenty of dancing. And for many, the festival experience also involves consuming a variety of drugs.
Love drugs.
Amp up their experience.
Yeah.
This year's drug safety at music festival study conducted by a research firm, Inner Body. Jason's favorite.
Did you say in her body?
Whoa.
That's what it sounded like to me.
The H, there's no H in there, Jason.
It sounded like in her body, Rico. Just saying.
You would.
That's what I heard.
So conducted by research firm Inner Body sheds additional light on the habits and plans of festival goers this year while addressing some of the best ways for folks to stay safe should they decide to consume substances at these events. The study uses survey data from 900 people and suggests that about 87% of festival attendees plan to take drugs, a 10% increase from last year's figure. The study focuses on a variety of topics surrounding drug use at music festivals, beginning with the most popular substances that festival goers plan to use during their upcoming season. Williams points out that alcohol is always number one, but the study did not include it and focused on everything else. That said, cannabis takes the top slot by far, with 65.3% of festival goers saying that they will be consuming cannabis. Authors note that the widespread legalization of recreational cannabis across the U.S. may make cannabis a less risky option for attendees. At 46.5%, cocaine was the second most popular choice, followed by psychedelics, 26.1%, MDMA, 19.4%, ketamine, 19.3%, amphetamines, 13.7%, opioids, 12.1%, benzodiazepines at 10.1%, synthetic drugs like bath salts, spice. Did not think that those were still a big draw, but they're still right around 10%. Hallucinogens like salvia or peyote, 6.1%, and inhalants, whippets, are at 6%. Plans to use cocaine are up from last year's numbers, though there was a 2% drop in the number of people who plan on using opioids, which authors noted as surprising, given the continued opioid overdose epidemic, though still, quote unquote, encouraging. The study found that rock, hip hop, and EDM are the genres most likely to have audience members under the influence of drugs, with Wisconsin's Rockfest claiming the top slot as the festival with the most anticipated drug use, according to survey participants. The week-long Burning Man Festival, held in Nevada's Black Rock Desert, took the second slot, while Coachella was third place for most anticipated drug use. Williams then dove into the study's revelations about drug concealment, consumption, and testing behaviors. In this section, most of the results were a bit more surprising. Some of the results were a bit more surprising, like the fact that only 32.6% of people bring their own drugs with them to the event, while the remaining 67.4% buy them at the festival. So many drugs being laced with fentanyl and all different other kinds of bullshit these days, I would not be taking those kinds of risks. But I guess my old ass is in the minority here. I don't know. I'm not buying any drugs from anybody at a festival.
Yes, Rico, you are a minority.
Oh, man. Shots fired.
A global majority,
Shots fired.
I'd say so, Yarrow. In a global sense of things, white people are the minority.
You're a globalist? Is that what you're saying?
So last year's results found that 46% of people plan to bring their own drugs to the events, with millennials as the most likely generation to bring drugs at the venue, buy drugs at the venue rather than purchasing them beforehand. When it came to drug testing, a majority of people, 80.3%, test their drugs before the event or festival, an increase from last year's approximately 67% figure. So at least there's that. The authors of the study noted that this increase in testing could be due to more awareness surrounding the U.S. opioid crisis and public education efforts that have taken place. But while the data is encouraging, it still reflects the reality that 20% of festival goers could be taking potential dangerous drugs at concerts. Concealing drugs in backpacks and pockets are the most common choices, and researchers also found that attendees tend to take drugs in one of three places with a fairly balanced distribution: the restroom, 29%, with the crowd, 31%, and outside the festival gates, 33%. Survey data also found that drug use tended to lead festival goers to engage in riskier behavior at events, with 66% of both Gen Z and millennial respondents reporting that they had done so while attending festivals under the influence. So engaging in sex with a stranger was one of the most prevalent examples, most prominent among millennials, while 1 in every 4 millennials also reported, quote unquote, driving dangerously after the festival ended. So, I mean, that might be the saddest part of the whole study for me. Boomers fucked up the whole housing market and retirement funding situation, and now data is trending towards us millennials becoming the last generation to bone and own our own cars. Very promising future ahead of us in this great nation, I'll tell you that much. I'm not the biggest fan of music festivals. I prefer smaller venues and more intimate settings with superior acoustics and less chance of some kind of bullshit you've got no control of or popping off. My wife, on the other hand, she grew up a festival baby with her father being a famous traveling musician, so it's something I'm inevitably stressed out about at least 2 to 3 times a year. I know everybody's situation is different, and I like studies like this because they keep me on top of at least what to look out for before shifting into super protector mode around my family and friends who choose the path of full ratchetness, because it is what it is. But hey, you can find links to the full study results at highat9news.com. And everybody going out there enjoying these festivals, man. Stay safe out there. Please, if you are part of the majority of drug consuming attendees, test your drugs before using them.
Yeah, because buyer beware.
Yes, and they can be found easily on Amazon or your local drugstore. Go get those drug testing kits, y'all. It'll save your life. Promise you. Multiple days long recovery is bad enough. Proper hydration and knowing exactly what you're putting into your body, these things are key to making sure that you and your friends get to make the same bad decisions again at the next one. I'm Rico Lamite, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. What about you guys? What do you guys think about this?
So, hey guys, just want to say real quick, dancesafe.org will send you free drug testing kits.
Dancesafe.org will send you free drug testing kits.
.org.
But then they have your address.
No, they're a harm reduction. They're a harm reduction business. They're not in the in telling on people.
Okay. They're not snitching.
They've been at raves. It's the late 90s, I believe. They've been at raves and since the late 90s.
There have been a lot of UCs at raves too.
Now too. A big shout out to Nick Bradley for saying that.
So you know what I think about this, Rico.
What's that?
So they talk about this study and how a majority of these millennial kids will be bringing their own drugs into the festival. And I have to, back in the days when I used to go to raves and stuff like that, we would go to the raves and we would buy drugs there. And I think a lot of this is because of technology and the speed at which drug dealers are able to sell their drugs now with the ability of the internet and mobile phones and everything. Because back in the day, you used to have to page somebody, bro, hang around at a payphone for people to call you back and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. So I think that's why more people are bringing drugs, is just a offset of technology.
The study's saying that the majority are still buying
at the festival.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it said differently.
67% of people are still buying at there's no way, if I don't know you before.
Right, exactly.
I ain't taking none of your shit.
Well, in all fairness, I knew all the people I was buying stuff from when I went to raves.
Yeah,
But all the people that bought stuff from me, I didn't know any of them.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, dude, there ain't no way I'm taking anybody's, any strange person's drug. I don't care how cool you seem, how good you're of a dancer you are, or I ain't touching your shit.
How good of a dancer?
Not know you.
Oh man, you're funny, bro. You're funny.
That is also another space where mushrooms really are great, because there's no fentanyl in mushrooms. Mushrooms are easy to see what they are, provided you're not throwing gummies down or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just honestly encouraged to know that people are still having sex with strangers.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
millennials and older, man.
Yarrow's headed to the next rave, you guys. Let's go.
So full disclosure, I executive produced 18 raves in my 20s, and I had a lot of fun. And because I was on probation for most of that for my cannabis exploits, I ran a clean ship, and we made sure people didn't sell drugs in our events. And what I would tell people
that weren't part of the crew not selling drugs is what you mean. It's called
No, not at all,
New
Jason.
York. It's
Not
like New
at all.
York selective enforcement.
No. Let me finish. No. So what I would tell people is, look, if you're not sophisticated enough to get your whatever it is before you get to our event, then no, we are not going to create a place where you can just buy random street drugs. And I wasn't going to jeopardize going to prison just so someone else could get their little fizz on. The thing that we had to do at that point was we actually hired bands of roving medics to go through these events to make sure that people who didn't know their limits didn't flatline. I'm just super enthusiastic that we can kick off this Monday morning, and that this next generation of munchkins is still smashing uglies in the porta potty. Good on you.
Well, they're not. Hey, but here's the thing: they're not. The younger. It says the kids. Millennials are like the last generation that are making the bad decisions when it comes to sex and drunk and drugged driving.
I mean, all the risk factors have changed. It used to be that you could take drugs, act a fool, and the worst that would happen is your social standing would crumble because you did something really stupid. Now you take drugs, you die. It used to be that you could have freewheeling love, and it wasn't so much of a risk.
Did you say free willy?
Free wheeling, free whatever. Then AIDS came in. That kind of was a big buzzkill because before that, the worst the people would get is herpes in the hot tub.
Yep.
And so
Syphilis.
all of the stupid stuff that we could have done, like the risk factors have gotten higher and higher and higher. And fentanyl is no different. I think that there's a whole generation of kids that would have been able to do a bunch of stupid shit but for that. So I'm kind of going with Saint Germain on this one. Like, fungus might be the only safe thing to acquire.
Well, this is the thing is, there's a big thing going on right now in Vegas. EDC started yesterday, and that is just like a drug festival.
So I used to do production for Pasquale and was actually flown into Vegas at EDC to run a stage because of the work and the production chops from the events I did in San Francisco. Look, the problem with these big events is people forget to know where they're getting their things, test or not test, drink a ton of water, and the larger these events get, the more likely there's going to be something tragic. I've seen people airlifted in and out with helicopters.
I've seen that a few times.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I might just stick with my Spotify playlist.
Fair enough.
Any final comments on this one, Jamie? You got any input on this one?
Well, growing up in Cowtown, Montana, we didn't have festivals or raves or any of that stuff, so I guess I had a boring childhood.
But you guys have fireflies, right?
Yeah, I guess not really. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
That's Texas and East.
Sorry.
We have cows and rivers.
So you guys went.
Cows are amazing, though. Cows are amazing.
Cow tipping.
Yeah, we did not go cow tipping. We didn't do that either. What we did, though, we drank a lot of alcohol. That's really what there was. We drank. We played basketball. It was sports, work, alcohol.
Fair enough. And on that,
so I have to bow out on this one. I know nothing.
No worries. That's all.
What Jamie is trying to say is that she paid substantial money to somebody to scrub the internet of that chapter of her life after she started to travel that included all of the skeletons. And she said to somebody, go to the dark web, take all the footprints out of my little closet. I don't want anybody to know about it.
Fair enough. And on that, we got to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.